I've got to share with you some highlights of a revealing interview overnight with Donald Trump. He sat down for a long and probing interview, 40 minutes or more, with former NBC legend, now Fox News host Chris Wallace. Much of it focused on the pandemic, and the key thrust from the president was to talk down the US death rate in comparison to the rest of the world.
It's all too much. It shouldn't be one case. It came from China. They should have never let it escape. They should have never let it out. But it is what it is. Take a look at Europe. Take a look at the numbers in Europe. And by the way, they're having surges.
Are 6,000 in the whole European Union.
They don't test. They don't test like we test.
Is it possible that they don't have the virus as badly as we do?
No, it's possible that they don't test. That's what's possible. We find cases, and many of those cases heal automatically. We're finding, in a way, we're creating trouble. Certainly we're creating trouble for the fake news to come along and say, oh, we have more cases. Look, we did something that nobody's ever done. Not only the ventilators, where we're supplying them all over the world. We did a testing program, the likes of which nobody's ever done before.
To some degree, of course, Trump is right. Extensive testing and transparent reporting in the US is always going to expose the virus more than what might be occurring in, say, Russia or Brazil. But while many countries are doing worse than the US in deaths per capita, the US is still ranked about 10th overall, too high for such a prosperous nation. And Trump was challenged on some of his more dismissive statements, such as how the virus will simply disappear. And this exchange is fascinating because it plays into the Australian debate about masks.
I'll be right eventually. I will be right eventually. You know, I said it's going to disappear. I'll say it again.
But
it's going to disappear.
Does that discredit
and I'll be right. I don't think so.
Right.
I don't think so. You know why it doesn't discredit? Because I've been right probably more than anybody else.
Then there are masks. From the first day that the CDC said that people should wear masks on April 3rd, you said you weren't going to. You wore a mask for the first time in public at Walter Reed this weekend. Question, the CDC says if everybody wore a mask for 4 to 6 weeks, we could get this under control. Do you regret not wearing a mask in public from the start? And will you consider a national mandate that people need to wear masks?
No, I want people to have a certain freedom, and I don't believe in that, no. And I don't agree with the statement that if everybody wear a mask, everything disappears. Hey, Dr. Fauci said don't wear a mask. Our Surgeon General, terrific guy, said don't wear a mask. Everybody was saying don't wear a mask. All of a sudden, everybody's got to wear a mask. And as you know, masks cause problems, too. With that being said, I'm a believer in masks. I think masks are good.
So I guess we're going to see him in a mask more often now. On other issues, the president dismissed the hit job made on him in a new book by his niece, and he launched a spirited attack on cancel culture and the history wars. Trump was asked about the Confederate flag, now being banned by various organisations because some people say it gives a nod to the slave history of the South. The president was asked if he finds the flag offensive.
It depends on who you're talking about, when you're talking about. When people proudly had their Confederate flags, they're not talking about racism. They love their flag. It represents the South. They like the South. People right now like the South. I say it's freedom of many things, but it's freedom of speech.
So you're not offended by it?
Well, I'm not offended either by Black Lives Matter. That's freedom of speech. And you know, the whole thing with cancel culture, we can't cancel our whole history. We can't forget that the North and the South fought. We have to remember that. Otherwise, we'll end up fighting again.
These issues continue to be incendiary in the US, but Trump is not intimidated by radical activists, protests or riots. Perhaps that's one reason he's improved in the polls, even though he's still a long way behind Democrat candidate in waiting Joe Biden. Trump is trailing on key issues too, surprisingly slipping behind even on the economy. But Trump certainly senses that Biden can be his best electoral asset.
So I've always led on the economy by a lot.
I know, which is why I was surprised by this number.
Biden can't put two sentences together. They wheel him out, he goes up, he repeats, they ask him questions, he reads a teleprompter, and then he goes back into his basement. You tell me the American people want to have that in an age where we're in trouble with other nations that are looking to do numbers on us.
So let me ask you a direct question. No, I'm going to ask you a direct question about Joe Biden. Is Joe Biden senile?
I don't want to say that. I say he's not competent to be president. To be president, you have to be sharp and tough and so many other things. He doesn't even come out of his basement. They think, oh, this is a great campaign. So he goes in. I'll then make a speech. It'll be a great speech. And some young guys start writing. Vice President Biden said this. He didn't say it. Joe doesn't know he's alive, okay? He doesn't know he's alive.
It's a pretty strong attack, isn't it? And it will resonate. Why? Because it resembles the truth. Someone's probably writing Joe Biden's response as we speak. From this point, just over 4 months out from the election, it's the Democrats' failure to come up with a compelling candidate that'll keep Donald Trump in contention. But then there is another possible candidate. Rapper Kanye West has held a bizarre and rambling campaign event, wearing a military vest, having the year 2020 buzz cut onto his scalp, and dispensing with something as useful as a microphone.
They're going to run this. They're going to try to tell you that I'm crazy. The world's crazy.
Well, on a couple of points, it's hard to disagree with Kanye. It is 2020, and the world is crazy.